It is not okay, even though Dean says it's fine. The second that they go into this crime scene, especially with Becky, Zach's going to prison for life.
You're listening to the Supernatural Opinions Podcast. Hi, I'm KJ. My pronouns are she, her, and this is the podcast where I recap the show Supernatural with my fellow fans and we discuss our supernatural opinions.
Today we're recapping Season 1, Episode 6, Skin, which originally aired on October 17th, 2005, and here to help me do that is my guest of the week, Meredith.
Hello.
Do you want to tell the listeners anything about yourselves? I mean, I'm sure they know you at this point, but just in case there's anyone new here.
Well, my pronouns are she and her, and I'm very tired today.
That's fair. It's been a long week. This week's episode will contain spoilers for this episode and may reference previous episodes, but will not contain spoilers for later episodes of Supernatural. And just a quick disclaimer that I realized last night that I had not done my notes for the actual recap portion. Sometimes I do my, other notes, all the other sections that don't require me to actually watch the show, while I'm, in public around other people. And then I forget that I didn't, do the full thing.
So we're gonna have an interesting episode.
Yes, this one could get a little interesting. But this week's episode is titled Skin, and that's a reference to the case of the week. I didn't find anything else specific that it was a reference to. There's lots of horror movies, titled Skin, but I couldn't find, one specific one that was, a reference. So if you know that this was a reference to something and I just missed it in my research, let me know. And this week's episode was written by Eric Kripke and John Sheehan and directed by Robert Duncan McNeil. So John Sheehan started his career as a staff writer on Season 3 of The X-Files. He's been credited as a writer on 46 episodes of that.
I knew I recognized that name.
He wrote 8 episodes of Supernatural, mostly in the first 2 seasons, and 2 episodes of Ozark, which he's now an executive producer on as well. And Robert Duncan McNeil has been directing for a very long time. He's directed 2 episodes of Supernatural, this one, and one of my favorite Sam episodes, The Great Escapist, which is Season 8, Episode 21.
Oh, cool.
And he also directed 21 episodes of Chuck, which my co-host Moira on Series of Opinions introduced me to, and 7 episodes of Dawson's Creek in the very early aughts, one of which guest starred our boy Jensen Ackles.
And there's such a huge difference between, Dawson's Creek and, Supernatural.
Yes, but you know what?
He's got range.
Yeah, he's got range. Jensen and him were brought together in 2 very different projects. I didn't know that Jensen was on Dawson's Creek for even, a single episode, so that was new to me.
Really?
I haven't really watched a lot of Dawson's Creek because our high school teacher spoiled the ending for us.
Well, I never really cared about teen dramas, so I didn't watch it
enjoy
either.
the teen dramas. But we're gonna jump right into the recap this week. Apparently, according to fandom.com Supernatural Wiki, Jared once said that this was the scariest episode of the show. I didn't look up to see where he said that, and I'm not sure when he said that, what point in the show's arc. But it doesn't matter because he's wrong, because this has nothing on last week. This one's kind of gross, but it's not as scary, in my opinion, as Bloody Mary was last week.
Well, the one that freaked me out the most was Wendigo.
Fair enough.
This one actually freaked out my dad. We started watching Supernatural together, and then we were kind of watching the episodes on our own. And I had just watched this episode, and then my dad, came out to talk to my sister and I, and he was like, guys, I just watched one of the episodes, and I think this is a very dark show, and maybe we should reconsider watching it. And I was just kind of awkwardly trying to say, I actually really loved this episode.
Did your dad know where the show was going, with all the Bible stuff-wise, when he was, watching it?
No.
No?
But he watches Lucifer.
Okay, so he doesn't really care then.
Well, he said that kind of makes him uncomfortable, but he's still gonna watch it because it's just fantasy.
Fair enough. This episode has a great opening. This is one of the times where I do like the streaming service song more than the original DVD song. On Prime, they have the song Good Deal by Mommy and Daddy, and I think it's a great fit. It's bringing the high tension energy to this scene. This episode is opening in St. Louis, Missouri, where it's a woman tied up and in distress, and a full SWAT team entering the home, and it's a bit of a bloodbath. There's bloody handprints, signs of a struggle. Luckily, the woman's alive, found by SWAT. That's great. Love that. So glad she's not dead. But then the perpetrator is in the next room with the bloody knife, and he turns around and oh no, it's our boy Dean.
Yes. I love it when they start with flash forward.
Me too. This show does good with the flash forwards and then the rewind 2 days. In this case, we're flashing back a week. Dean is traveling them somewhere for something, and he's in a hurry to get there, and I hope that it's not a case that they're on their way to, because they don't get there.
Yep.
They're going to somewhere where either they're going to Brisbane, Arizona, or they have to go through Brisbane, Arizona to get there. Either way, Brisbane, Arizona is involved. Dean is like making fun of Sam, and he says that Sam wears women's underwear because he thinks that Sam's not paying attention, and Sam just says that he's been listening. And not to read too much into this, but Sam didn't say no. He did not deny anything.
Interesting. That's very interesting.
He's listening, he just doesn't care. He's got emails to read. But also, if he did wear women's underwear, good for him.
Wow.
We as a fandom are gonna learn in a later season that, like, this could be some projection happening on Dean's part. And
oh, interesting.
Dean's done it at least once that we know of for sure. And either way, it's also totally cool to wear whatever makes you feel good. Clothes don't have a gender, so wear whatever's comfy.
I wear guys' pants because they have big pockets.
I know, right? Like, pockets.
I know!
So yeah, clothes shouldn't have gender. So if that's what the boys are into, I mean, good for them, I guess. I just wanted to say that Sam literally didn't care and also did not say no.
Also, he's one of those rare people that actually goes through his emails. Like, I avoid them like the plague.
I have 104 emails in my inbox and it's stressful.
I have 195 and I just can't make myself care.
Sam informs Dean he's checking these emails and most of them are from his college friends. And I have some questions about this. Not the fact that Sam's keeping in touch with his college friends, just the fact that they're in a car at a gas station. And what in the holy hell 2005, 2006 kind of data plan does Sam Winchester have going?
I guess he splurged.
It is a fandom joke that Sam always has Wi-Fi, and like, yeah, this is 2005, and like, this is like one step above a flip phone. I would be surprised if this thing has a slide-out keyboard.
Oh my gosh.
How is he checking email on this thing?
I'm sure there's lots of like fandom jokes and explanations for that.
It is a fandom joke that Sam always has Wi-Fi. Like, that's why he's so tall.
What does his height have to do with Wi-Fi?
Gets a better signal.
Oh, that's very clever.
Dean's reaction is bad. It's very bad. He jokes, "You still in touch with your college buddies?" as though Sam graduated like 5 years ago and didn't just like drop out in the middle of his 4th year because his girlfriend was like horribly murdered 4 to 24 weeks ago.
You know, like a couple months ago.
This episode is where the timeline gets screwed up. It's either December 3rd, 2005, or it's March 1st, 2006.
There's a bit of a difference there.
It depends on if we're listening to the emails that Sam's checking. The emails that Sam's checking read December 3rd, 2005. But when Dean, like, not the real Dean's, like, wanted posters, somewhere it says March 7th, 2006. So if this is, like, a week before that, then it's, like, March 1st-ish.
Alright, well, maybe Sam's just checking some old emails.
Old emails. I'm not sure really which one to go on. Also, it can't be old emails because he gets an email from, like, he's checking, like, a December 3rd email, and it's the email from Rebecca, and, like, this just happened. So yeah, they just, continuity-wise, didn't do that great. Also, I'm not sure that either one of those dates lines up.
Time moves differently in the world of Supernatural.
Because it's definitely been more than 4 weeks. Like, the last 6 episodes have definitely taken more than 4 weeks, because it sometimes takes them a couple of days to even, like, find out about a case.
Yep, and they've got other stuff to
But
do.
I'm not sure it's necessarily been 4 months either. That feels a little lengthy.
Yeah.
Dean does have a point here where he asks Sam what he tells, like, his friends, because Sam is still talking to his college friends who have no idea about monsters or the supernatural or anything, and Sam says he tells them that he needed time off after Jess died and that he's on a road trip with his big brother, and Dean informs Sam that only telling a part of the truth is in fact lying, and everyone remember this moment. These two boys are so bad at being honest with one another, so let's remember that part of Dean's definition of lying includes lying by omission.
Yeah, acknowledging that you're lying doesn't exactly help.
Dean believes that they should just cut everyone out of their lives who isn't a hunter, which is sad. I'm sad for him.
It's also a lot easier for him to say that because he's never really had the kind of like friendships that Sam does.
Yeah, and he just never really seemed super interested in that.
Yeah.
From what we can tell. One of the emails is from Sam's friend, Rebecca, who informs Sam that her brother Jack, who Sam was also, or Zach, did I say Jack?
I have a brother named Jack.
Her brother Zach, who Sam was also friends with, has been charged with murder. This boy made a lot of friends. It makes me so sad that he rarely has any friends apart from Dean for, like, the rest of this show, because he made so many friends at Stanford.
Yeah, so evidently he's good at it.
Like, he had Jess and Zach and Becky, and there was apparently other people, because at the end, Rebecca's like, all of our friends miss you, which means that there's more.
What?
But Sam, anyway, makes up his mind that wherever they were going doesn't matter. They are going to go to St. Louis and see Rebecca and look at into the murder that Zach allegedly did. Dean says it's not their kind of problem, but Sam says it is because they're his friends.
Yeah, come on, Dean.
And then we cut to Dean pulling the car towards St. Louis, which he's had previously said was 400 miles in the wrong direction. And he pulls this car out into the street with a lot of attitude. I could have used one more exchange between the boys before that. Maybe gotten, like, Sam's, like, puppy dog eyes out, or, like, something. Whatever it was that made Dean agree. Because Dean was not into going.
Fine, I'm gonna go, but I'm not gonna be happy about it.
Maybe Sam promised that Rebecca was hot. Who knows? Also, there's a sign that says Drive Safe America, like, in the foreground, while we see Dean pulling the car around sassily in the background.
I love that.
So good. Little Becky is surprised to see them. She's taken a semester off to deal with the trial and the murder and everything. So, like, Sam, her career has been derailed by supernatural beings.
Yay.
Jared's voice is creeping into the whisper because he's talking to Becky and she's a woman in need of assistance. So it's not as bad this week, but it is creeping in that direction. I'm sorry, I'm never gonna get over this.
I didn't even notice it before you started pointing it out. Now I just think it's really funny.
It's so funny. It's so obvious too. Like it's like a whisper. It's a loud whisper.
It's like you're a teenage, well, almost teenage-ish boy with, like, working on your social skills. Like, how do you comfort a grieving woman? I'm gonna whisper.
Sam doesn't have a lot of experience with women up until the time he's about, like, 18, so...
Well, he might have had more experience with women if they'd put more on this show.
Yeah, no, he doesn't have a mom, he doesn't have sisters, he barely has any friends, so he just, like, his only experience for how you should interact with women is, like, what he sees John and Dean doing, which isn't a great example, basically, until he goes to college, so...
It's now my headcanon that John used to creepily whisper at women.
Probably. I don't know if we ever see John interacting with a victim or a victim's family, but I bet you he does. I bet you Jeffrey Dean Morgan whispers at them.
I need this for reasons.
But anyway, Becky's surprised that Sam showed up. Like, she told Sam about all this, like, murder thing, but she was still surprised that he came. So maybe they weren't that, like, close of friends, I guess. Or maybe she's like, his girlfriend just died. I guess he's probably busy.
Yeah, or maybe this isn't the type of problem that you really expect people to visit for.
I mean, Sam's a undergrad. He's not really helpful.
No.
In her eyes. But she tells him that Zach was with her until midnight on the night that Emily, Zach's girlfriend, was killed, and that he arrived home to find her murdered, and that would be great, except for that there was a videotape of the street on the other side of the street, which showed that Zach arrived home at 10:30 before the murder.
So, that's inconvenient.
Yeah, that's not good. That's really, really bad if you're a suspect in a murder investigation.
Yeah!
Who are we going to believe? Your sister, who says that you were with her, or the videotape we can see with our own eyes? Sam lies to Becky and tells her that Dean's a cop. That is not lying by omission. That is just straight up lying.
Just feel the need to point that out.
Yep, and he says that he is a cop in Bisbee, Arizona, which is where they were originally going for a still unknown reason. Again, hope this wasn't the case because they are not there.
Yep.
Hope that they were just going to Bisbee, Arizona for no real reason.
Maybe there's, like, some weird restaurant there that Dean likes.
Maybe. That seems like a Dean thing, and, like, why Dean would be so in a hurry.
Yeah, there's food there, Sammy.
Dean's not impressed with the lying, but he's not convinced it's the kind of thing that they deal with anyway, so he doesn't really care. He's like, we should go.
Wow.
But Sam is insisting, says that they've looked into less than a claim that someone is in two places at once.
Which is true.
Which seems like a thin line, but okay. It doesn't seem like a lot to go on, honestly. But they go to the crime scene, which is a bad plan. It is not okay, even though Dean says it's fine. The second that they go into this crime scene, especially with Becky, Zach's going to prison for life.
Basically.
The second they opened that door, it was bad. The second Becky came underneath the tape, real bad. She's the the defendant's sister. She's in a sealed crime scene. Bad. That's life in prison. That's like evidence tampering. Zach's done. His case is over. Anyways, Becky tells them that there was a break-in about a week before and some of Zach's clothes were taken, but there was no sign of a break-in on the actual night of Emily's murder. Also that the neighbor's dog's been acting weird ever since then. Dean is coming around on the supernatural theory because of the dog.
Dogs know.
Becky reveals that she stole a copy of the security tape that showed Zach coming home.
Wow, Becky.
Yeah, from the lawyer. Just took it. That's also bad. I mean, if the lawyer had found out about that, it also would have been bad. Zach has a photo of Becky and Sam and him together on his fridge, which means that they were good friends.